Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen closely. Sometimes life feels like an endless storm, chaotic, overwhelming, and full of pain. But what if I told you that every storm, every heartbreak, every moment of pain is not a sign of abandonment, but rather a divine setup? That the very struggles you're facing today are shaping you for something greater. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share might just change the way you see your trials. You are being broken not to be destroyed, but to be built into the woman God has always intended you to be. Your pain is preparing you, so don't give up. Don't retreat, because your breakthrough is just on the other side of the breaking. You see, there's something about the way God moves in the life of a woman that's often misunderstood. We think that being chosen by God means everything is supposed to be smooth, that it's supposed to feel easy, that success should come without struggle. But if you look closely, if you really take a moment to observe the divine pattern, you'll notice something profound. God's choosing is often accompanied by trials, by moments where everything seems to be falling apart. And that's not a mistake. That's not a sign that you've been rejected or abandoned. That's a part of the divine process. When God chooses you, He's not just selecting you for the blessings, the fame, or the recognition. He's choosing you for a purpose that's greater than what your eyes can see. He's selecting you because He knows you have what it takes to carry a heavy load, to withstand storms, to rise after every fall. It's a divine election rooted in purpose, rooted in destiny. And sometimes that divine purpose comes wrapped in pain, wrapped in heartbreak, wrapped in moments where your strength feels like it's being tested to its limits. You see, God's divine selection is not an excuse for comfort, but a call to growth. When He chooses a woman, He's already seen what's inside her, her resilience, her faith, her ability to persevere. But He also knows that before she can walk into the fullness of what He has for her, she must be shaped, refined, and molded through seasons that push her to her breaking point. It's in these moments that we often question, why me? Why now? And that's natural. It's human to wonder if we're being punished or if we're somehow being left behind. But what if those moments of questioning are actually confirmations? What if they're signs that you're on the edge of something extraordinary? God's choosing often brings with it a process that feels uncomfortable, even painful. And that pain isn't random, it's purposeful. It's designed to strip away the superficial, to peel back layers of insecurity, doubt, and fear that have been holding you back. Sometimes it's as if life takes everything away, relationships, security, even your sense of self, so that what's left can be built on a foundation that can't be shaken. That's why, when you're in the midst of pain, it's essential to remember that this is not the end. It's part of a divine process of preparation. Think about it. Every woman who's been chosen by God has faced rejection, heartbreak, disappointment. It's almost as if the universe conspires to test whether she believes in the divine plan. But here's the truth: God's selection is not about avoiding pain. It's about transforming pain into power. It's about taking what was meant to break you and using it to build you up stronger, wiser, more resilient. That's why, in the midst of your pain, you have to hold on to the truth that you are being prepared for something you cannot yet see. Your pain is a sign that you're in the process of becoming the woman God created you to be. The process of divine selection is also about trust. Trusting that even when everything feels like it's falling apart, God is still working. Trusting that the tears you shed are watering the seeds of your future success. Trusting that the pain you're experiencing now is temporary, but the strength you're gaining is eternal. Sometimes we look at pain as the enemy, but in reality, it's a divine tool shaping us, strengthening us, and positioning us for our purpose. The truth is, every woman who's been chosen by God has had to learn how to see her pain through His eyes. Pain doesn't define you unless you allow it to. It's a temporary visitor meant to teach you lessons you couldn't learn any other way. And those lessons are vital because they prepare you for what's next. They teach you patience, humility, endurance, and faith. They remind you that you're not in control, God is, and that even in the chaos, He's working something beautiful behind the scenes. When God chooses you, He often takes you through seasons of pain that feel like wilderness experiences. These are the times when you feel most alone, most vulnerable, most unsure of yourself. But it's in that wilderness that your faith is tested and strengthened. It's where your character is built brick by brick. The pain becomes a testimony, a proof that you've been through fire and come out refined. And when you emerge on the other side, you realize that the pain was never meant to break you permanently, to prepare you for what's coming. So if you're in a season of pain right now, understand that it's part of your divine appointment. It's the process of God choosing you for something greater. Your pain isn't a sign that you're not enough. It's a confirmation that you're being prepared. It's a sign that you're in the midst of a divine transformation. The woman God is choosing is being shaped in the fire, polished in the storm, and strengthened through the tears. The enemy wants you to believe that your pain disqualifies you, that somehow your struggles mean you're not worthy, not enough, not chosen. But nothing could be further from the truth. God's choosing is not based on your perfection, but on his purpose. And his purpose in your life is to bring out the best in you, to mold you into the woman he's always seen in you. The pain is not a punishment. It's a part of the process that leads to your divine elevation. Remember, every scar, every tear, every heartbreak has a story of victory behind it. Those experiences have prepared you for what's ahead. They've built resilience, faith, and perseverance. They've made you stronger. They've taught you how to trust in a God who never leaves, never forsakes, and always has a plan, even when you can't see it. So don't shy away from pain or try to escape it. Lean into it. Embrace it as part of your divine purpose. Understanding this paradigm shift, that pain is preparation, will change everything. It will give you the courage to stand firm, to keep going when it feels like giving up is easier. Because deep down, you know that God's hand is in this process. You're not just going through pain. You're being prepared for your next level of purpose, your next season of breakthrough. And the pain you're experiencing now is temporary, an essential part of the journey toward becoming the woman you were created to be. When life has broken us down, we find ourselves standing in the rubble of what once was. We look around and wonder, is this really it? Is this what my life has come to? But what if I told you that the breaking you're experiencing isn't the end of your story? What if it's merely the beginning of a new chapter? One where God is building something stronger, something more resilient, something that can't be shaken. When God allows us to be broken, it's because he sees potential inside us that we can't yet see ourselves. He knows that before he can elevate us into our divine purpose, we must be stripped down, emptied of everything that's not aligned with his plan. And that's painful. It's uncomfortable. It can feel devastating. But in the midst of that pain, there's an invitation to trust him even when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. You see, the process of breaking is not about destruction, but about divine reconstruction. It's similar to how a sculptor works, chipping away at a block of stone, removing what's unnecessary so that the masterpiece can emerge. Every chip, every crack, every piece removed is necessary. God is doing the same with you. He's chipping away at the layers of doubt, fear, insecurity, and past shame that have been weighing you down. He's removing the false identities you've worn for too long, the labels that society and even you have placed on yourself. And it hurts because change always does. Growth always does. But just because it hurts doesn't mean it's wrong. When you're in that season of being broken, you have to remember that God's hand is in it. He's not breaking you to punish you. He's breaking you to make you a stronger, more authentic version of yourself. Think about the process of a seed buried deep in the earth. It's dark, cold, and seemingly forsaken. But what's happening beneath the surface is miraculous. That seed is sprouting roots, establishing a foundation so it can grow tall and bear fruit. Sometimes your pain feels like that darkness, like you're buried beneath the weight of everything that's gone wrong. But God is planting something deep within you, something that won't be visible right away. And when the time is right, that seed will sprout, breaking through the soil, reaching for the sun, and flourishing into the woman of purpose God has destined you to be. It's vital to understand that God's process is not about rushing. It's about trusting the timing. When you're being broken, the temptation is to rush the process, to try to fix things yourself, to force your way out, to seek quick fixes that only mask the pain. But true growth happens in the waiting. It happens in the silence, in the stillness, in the moments when you feel like giving up. That's when you have to lean into faith. That's when you have to remind yourself that God's timing is perfect and his plan is better than anything you could ever orchestrate on your own. Patience becomes your greatest weapon because patience is rooted in trust that God is working behind the scenes, even when you can't see it. The truth is, when you allow yourself to be broken, you're opening the door for God to do what only he can do, rebuild you from the inside out. He takes what's shattered and uses those fragments to create something more beautiful than you ever imagined. Think about the potter and the clay. When the clay is soft and pliable, the potter can shape it into something magnificent. But if the clay resists or is hardened, it becomes impossible to mold. Sometimes we resist the breaking because we're afraid of losing control. But real transformation requires surrender. It's in surrendering that we allow God to do his best work. You see, every crack, every scar that appears during this process is not a sign of defeat, but a badge of victory. It's proof that you've been through the fire and come out refined. Those scars tell the story of your resilience, your faith, your perseverance. They remind you that you survived what was meant to destroy you. They become your testimony, the evidence that God's hand was upon you even when you didn't see it. And when you look at those scars, don't see weakness, see strength. See the evidence of a woman who refused to be broken beyond repair, but was instead broken so she could be built into something greater. And it's crucial to remember that God doesn't abandon his work midway through. When the breaking feels unbearable, that's when his grace is most sufficient. His strength is made perfect in your weakness. You might feel like you're losing everything, your confidence, your stability, your sense of self. But in reality, you're gaining something far more valuable, a renewed spirit, a deeper faith, a resilient heart. The breaking is a part of his divine design to prepare you for what's next. It's a necessary step that leads to wholeness, healing, and a new level of purpose. When you're being broken, it's easy to feel isolated, to think that nobody understands your pain. But the truth is, many women before you have walked this path. They've been broken and rebuilt, and now they stand as living proof that the process works. Their scars are symbols of survival, their tears are tokens of faith, and their stories are testimonies of divine intervention. You're not alone in this. Your pain is familiar to those who have gone before you and emerged victorious. Their stories are proof that after the breaking, there's always a breakthrough. What if I told you that your brokenness is actually a prerequisite for your blessing? That God's greatest blessings often come after the deepest pain. When you're broken, your heart becomes tender again, open to receiving what God wants to pour into you. Your spirit becomes more receptive, more eager to align with his divine purpose. That brokenness creates space for his power to move in ways you couldn't have imagined when you were whole and trying to do everything on your own. Sometimes, it's in the broken places that God reveals himself most profoundly. You must hold on to hope that the breaking is temporary, that it's necessary, and that it's part of a bigger picture. Trust that the divine sculptor is shaping you into a masterpiece. Trust that every crack is a sign that you're being made new. Trust that your brokenness is not the end, but a new beginning. Because after the breaking, something beautiful happens. You emerge stronger, wiser, more aligned with your purpose. You emerge with a renewed sense of identity rooted in faith, not fear, hope, not despair. And as you walk through this process, you learn to embrace the cracks because they tell your story of resilience, of divine love, of a God who specializes in turning brokenness into blessings. The process of being broken and rebuilt is not one you walk through alone. It's a journey of surrender, patience, and faith. It's about trusting that the divine potter knows exactly what he's doing, shaping, molding, and refining you for something that's beyond your current understanding. And as you go through it, you'll realize that the breaking wasn't about losing who you are, but about uncovering who you were always meant to become. It's about becoming more authentic, more powerful, more rooted in his purpose. It's about rising from the ashes of your pain into a new life, fashioned by his hand, guided by his love, and fueled by your unwavering faith. There's a truth that many of us don't want to admit, but it's one that holds the power to transform everything we believe about ourselves. Sometimes we get caught in the trap of thinking that success is about achieving perfection, about never falling, about always having it together. But what if I told you that the real victory is found in the willingness to keep going even when you stumble? That resilience isn't about never falling, but about having the courage to rise every single time you do. Life will test you, push you to your limits, and sometimes knock you down in ways you never expected. But your response to those setbacks, those disappointments, those moments of failure is what defines you. Because setbacks are not the end. They're the setup for your comeback. When we experience failure, it can feel like a personal attack, like a sign that we're not enough, that we've missed the mark. But failure is actually a teacher, sometimes the best teacher. It's the universe's way of redirecting us, refining us, and preparing us for what's next. You see, the most successful women I know have one thing in common: they refuse to give up. They understood that setbacks are part of the journey, not the destination. They learned that failure is not a reflection of their worth, but a stepping stone toward their purpose. Every time they fell, they got back up stronger, wiser, more determined, because they understood that the true measure of a woman isn't how many times she falls, but how many times she rises. It's in those moments of falling that we discover what we're truly made of. When life knocks you down, you have a choice. Stay down and accept defeat, or get up and declare that you're still standing. And standing doesn't mean you're unscathed. It means you've decided to keep fighting, to keep believing, to keep dreaming despite the pain. Resilience is built in those moments when you feel like giving up, but choose to push forward anyway. It's in the silent tears, the whispered prayers, the late night hours when nobody sees your struggle. Resilience is the secret weapon that separates those who only dream of success from those who actually walk into it. It's vital to understand that setbacks don't define your destiny. Your response to setbacks does. Every successful woman I've admired has faced disappointments, sometimes even failures that felt like the end of everything. But they refuse to let those failures define them. Instead, they use those failures as fuel. They ask themselves, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? And because of that mindset, they were able to turn their setbacks into comebacks, their mess into a message, their pain into purpose. They realized that setbacks are not the enemy, but a part of the process of becoming who they're called to be. You've got to understand that resilience is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Every time you get up after falling, you strengthen your ability to face whatever comes next. Every time you choose hope over despair, you build your capacity to endure. Resilience is rooted in faith, faith that even when things look impossible, God is still working behind the scenes. Faith that your current situation is not your final destination. Faith that your setbacks are setups for a greater comeback. When you hold on to faith and resilience, you begin to see every challenge as an opportunity to grow, to learn, to become more of the woman you were created to be. Let's be honest, sometimes failure feels like a heavy burden. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go the way we planned. But what if I told you that failure is just a part of the process of refinement? It's like a diamond being cut and polished. Initially, it looks rough, but with the right pressure and patience, it transforms into something dazzling. That's what failure does. It refines us. It strips away pride, arrogance, and illusions of control. It teaches humility, patience, and perseverance. It reminds us that we are not in control of everything, but that there is one who is, and he's working all things together for our good. You see, resilience is about choosing hope, even when the road ahead seems uncertain. It's about holding on to the promise that better days are coming, even when your current days feel heavy and dark. Resilience is rooted in the belief that if you keep going, if you keep pushing, if you refuse to give up, you will emerge on the other side stronger than before. It's about cultivating a mindset that refuses to accept defeat as an option. It's about standing tall in the face of adversity and declaring that nothing can keep you down permanently because you're built for more. Resilience doesn't mean you're unbreakable, but it does mean that you're unshakable. It means you're willing to get up, dust yourself off, and try again. It means that you understand failure is a chapter, not the whole story. It's a comma, not a period. Every woman who's ever walked in her purpose has faced rejection, disappointment, and failure. But what set them apart was their refusal to stay down. They saw setbacks as setups for a divine comeback. They knew that their value wasn't determined by their circumstances, but by the divine purpose within them. And because of that, they pressed on, refused to be defeated, and ultimately walked into their destiny. The key is to keep your eyes fixed on what's ahead, not what's behind. The past might try to hold you hostage. Regrets, mistakes, failures. But those don't have the power to define you unless you let them. You have been given the gift of new mercies every morning. You have the power to choose hope over despair, faith over fear. Every setback is an opportunity to practice resilience, to develop your character, and to deepen your trust in the one who holds your future in his hands. When you understand that setbacks are part of the process, you stop seeing them as obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities for divine intervention. Resilience is a posture of the heart. It's a decision to believe that even in the chaos, God is still in control. It's a declaration that no matter what comes your way, you're still standing, still believing, still fighting. It's about cultivating an unshakable confidence that you are more than a conqueror, that your victory is already secured by faith, and that every challenge is shaping you into the woman you're destined to become. Resilience is not just a skill, it's a lifestyle. It's a daily choice to keep moving forward, to keep dreaming, to keep believing that your best days are ahead. That's why when setbacks come, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to shrink back in fear or think that you've lost everything. Instead, you can lean into resilience, knowing that every fall is an invitation to rise stronger. Every disappointment is an opportunity to trust more deeply. Every failure is a stepping stone to success. When you embrace resilience, you realize that you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're rising above the ashes of your past and walking boldly into the future that God has prepared for you. You're becoming the woman who refuses to be defeated by circumstances, but is empowered by faith to overcome anything that comes her way. Now, that resilience isn't built overnight. It's cultivated through every challenge, every trial, every moment when you could have given up but chose to keep going. It's strengthened in the quiet moments when you whisper, "I will not be moved," and in the loud moments when you declare, "I am more than a conqueror." Resilience is not just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward, moving into the next season with a spirit of perseverance, hope, and unwavering faith. It's about knowing that your setbacks are not the end of your story, but the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with purpose, promise, and divine power. Let your setbacks propel you, not paralyze you. Let your failures teach you, not define you. Because the woman who keeps going, who refuses to give up, is the woman who will ultimately walk into her divine destiny. Resilience is your secret weapon, your divine fuel that keeps you moving when everything around you is trying to pull you down. It's the grit in your spirit, it's the fire in your soul, the unwavering belief that no matter what, you're still standing and still fighting for the life God has promised you. That resilience is what transforms ordinary women into extraordinary women of purpose, power, and influence. It's what keeps you moving forward, no matter what. Because you know deep in your spirit, your story is not over. Your victory is already on the horizon. And with every step of resilience, you're closer to walking into everything you've ever dreamed, everything you've ever hoped for, everything God has prepared just for you.